And we're live recorded.
All right, thank you. Hi. This is Republic Today, republictoday.net. It's Thursday, September 28th, 10:43 p.m. Pacific Time, USA, America. I'm Skull, this is Jay,
Hi.
and on this show we talk about a variety of topics. Uh, Pretty much from an American perspective.
Mhm.
Um, Jay, talk about your international perspective, if you would, for a moment.
For a moment, what perspective?
As maybe not being 100% American. I'm 100% American.
Mm,
Like,
mhm,
I have like whatever generations
mhm.
in the United States.
Yeah, I have half of my generations in the United States, Canada area, and then half of my generations in Europe.
And different people have different um relationships with family and how that would relate in terms of background and stuff. So like I don't have any relatives even from like Canada or Mexico or something. Like they're just all just like USA, you know.
Right, but I mean, you do like tend to talk about like Italian. You didn't have any family from
Oh,
Italy?
right, right. So that's like,
Like how far back
is that nationalist? Cultural nationalist? But that's not
to
what we're talking about
say?
right now. You have
But
more of an
yeah, you're
international background.
talking, we're okay,
And so
okay.
um on this show, and I do not identify as a nationalist in any way, just to let everybody know. But there is like a Italian ethnicity or something um that goes along with like, I mean, it is a nation and it has a nationalist. It's like the most nationalist fascist
Mm-hmm.
culture,
Mm-hmm.
Italy as like an entity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which is weird, you know, because there are like Italians, like there are like Sicilian people that are like um that exists in America that I've known and you know that like are brown, you know, they have darker skin than I have and
I
like,
understand.
you know,
Uh-huh.
um anyway, so
Well,
this show's about our
okay.
perspectives and I'm just to like continue going with the conversation. So your perspective as someone who's not like 100% and like you've lived in Europe. I've visited Europe once. I spent a week there. Um, and I've been to, you know, Canada
I've
and
never been to
America.
Canada.
Oh, really?
I've never been to Mexico.
Okay. I've never been to Mexico.
Never been to Canada.
I lived in the New Mexico.
Yeah, I lived and worked there. Lived.
That's American,
Mm-hmm.
the new one. But
Mm-hmm.
Mexico is not necessarily.
Right.
It's North American. Um, and you're from part of the country that spent much more time there than me that borders Mexico.
Yeah, I was like an hour away from Mexico and I've never been.
Interesting. Okay. Well, and so this shows about our perspectives as different types of Americans, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called Republic Today. Um, and we talk about what's going on. We were watching some horror genre and it was like fired up. And so um we were talking about vlogcasting is what crossed my mind. And I wanted to ask you questions, but I hadn't prepared anything for this episode, and I'm like repping merch.
I'm like repping a horror film.
Right. There's this. If you've never watched this YouTube thing before, you're like, hey, okay, there's this guy back there, there's some art. We hang out in the apartment. Um, so I wanted to ask um your thoughts about uh the relationships. Um, it feels public. It feels public now. And I just smoked some weed. Um, for the listeners out there who can't see me, and I just look like a stoned guy sitting here uh, on camera. And you know, you like to fuck, right? And I don't know, these characters, like, there's this tension being built in this movie that I've never heard of. I don't recognize any of the performers. And I thought it was even going to be on in the background as we fired it up. And I was like ready, like, okay, I'm gonna ask Jay. Um, just some thoughts about that, and about I don't know. I was gonna share some work stuff, I guess, is what my brain keeps coming to as I falter during this episode, to like ask the right question. Um, but I want it to be uh so they took sex out of mainstream movies. That's a movement that happened. So hashtag Hollywood, hashtag Los Angeles, California. I don't know. Gavin Newsom is the governor of California. I don't know. He's like, seems like a villain. He's a villain if I'm like following politics as a sport. So like California. Um, what does that do to making porn, sex work, um, these money making endeavors? Somehow this is all an industry that happens, right? And I think sex work should be legal, and um I think there should be less government bureaucratic regulation on things and whatever. And
You think just overall, or you think just in the sex work industry?
yeah, overall.
Okay, so we should have child labor. No limits on a work week or work time without breaks. No minimum wage.
I don't think I no, I don't think that stuff. Like
Well, I don't understand what does the government
well,
do
we're
within
making the
workplaces?
taking the sex out of films, or out of entertainment, out of like just mainstream entertainment. What does mainstream mean? Um, but pushes sex work towards the fringes.
I think there's a lot of
Perhaps.
things, not just film.
Right.
Like there's active like legal bullshit that continues to like work under the guise of like saving children and saving like human trafficked people, but like just endangers everybody. It further endangers everybody. who's in sex work by choice or not.
Tell me more about
Tell you more?
that.
Like what? Examples or something? What do you want?
Um, yeah, like what's a recent source that you have that you are like checking out? That's like,
I mean, there's just a big one in the US, the SESTA FOSTA Act. It's I don't even remember fully like what it included, but it was like you can't openly like proposition people to pay you for sex.
mm,
Like whether it be like an advertisement, stuff on the internet.
right. There's just none of
Lots of
that.
stuff on the internet
There's none of
over
that
that
allowed.
doesn't exist. Like Backpage was taken down. And a lot of people have to live on the fringes.
Damn. Sorry, listeners. There's a cat. Um, so like what, like it's not just in film. There's this
Yes.
horrible discrimination happening.
Yes.
Um, in what year is it?
And it's not it's
2024.
not even
It's
just
pretty
in the
much
United
2024
States.
already, right?
It's not even just in the United States.
What's going on? It's going to
Even
be in the 30s for the next few days.
Mhm.
And the weather, it's today. And I don't mean to interrupt. Please.
you
Just
wanna we're talking about the weather now. Go ahead.
you're 100% right.
What's the weather?
Well, climate change.
Go ahead.
You know it's climate change.
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
You could tell me about how climate change affects poor people.
I could tell you.
I think the audience would like to hear about it.
I'm sure they know all about it.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
I guess just like connecting things that are like in my real life right now. I think that climate change affects a lot of vulnerable people. The elderly, young children, both of whom are like sensitive to major temperature swings or major highs and lows and may not necessarily like know to be prepared for those things. And then like, yeah, poor folks. I mean, specifically in the Pacific Northwest, like everyone's shitty, cheap apartment doesn't have an AC unit because it hasn't been needed in this area for so long. But now with like major climate change and like extreme highs over like a number of days, people fucking die.
And it's going to be in the 30s in September.
Yeah. But not on my watch for some reason.
We heard that on a different Wi-Fi thing. Um, yeah, here in the PNW. Um, and
Because mine doesn't show it's going to be in the 30s.
as you were saying, um, poor people are affected by these swings and climate change, and what what they need, you said children, old people, whatever, is people to take care of them. And yet caretakers are not valued under capitalism. Um,
There's often a lot of unpaid labor for caretakers, even just parents. It's like, yeah, you're going to raise our working class, but you like you just never get paid. It's just an eternal cycle of unpaid labor and not being paid enough. You just get to like hobble along.
Homemaking is work.
Yes, it is. Raising children is work. Taking care of other family members is work, and not everyone has access to getting paid for that.
It's expensive to have children, elderly, differently abled, whatever people. Um, so it seems like in America we build jails, um, and have like correctional officers as caretakers.
Mm. Mm.
That's how we employ like lower wage people. Tell me more about like, you know, the kind of lifestyle that caretakers, even professionally, because there is an industry.
Caretaker. So I'm part of the like home health and like caregivers union. And so it has like some of healthcare in the union, and I've met like some other caregivers, like just through whatever, going to trainings or whatever. But there's like one parent who takes care of their child who has a disability and like got to go through the whatever system to get paid through the state um to take care of their child. And then yeah, there were like two other people who were like, yeah, my parents live with us and they need some care, and they just wanted to get paid through that. And then Jess worked at a home health care, or like a an adult care center. Um so she was also doing caregiving too. And a lot of them were like way older individuals, but yeah, so sometimes people get to be in their homes and sometimes people get to whatever live in a facility,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
which is like another thing that I think is impacted by money, being poor, etc. But I guess we're talking about the caregivers. I'm not sure. I don't know. I guess just the route that I've seen is just caregivers who are taking care of their family members as opposed to like the general public. There's different rules for caregiving and
I don't make
pay.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I get paid pretty good. I think I'm making 20 an hour.
Hell yeah.
If I do extra training, I could like pick up hours and work for other clients.
Right. Gig, is it a gig field?
It could be, yeah. I mean, it just depends on like the needs of the client and stuff like that. Because if you find someone who's a little bit more active and whatever, doesn't need like round the clock care, then you can just be like, oh, schedule me on these days or whatever. You can kind of set up a schedule.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Visit some old person.
Yeah. Make
Okay.
them meals, clean their home, do their grocery shopping, whatever that ends up looking like. Some people do need like bathroom or bathing care, hygiene care.
Hygiene care.
Some people need like transport, like um like physical transport, like getting up from something to go sit in like a wheelchair or something like that, or like lifting them from a bed. So there's like different levels of care needed too by people like on that range.
Right. And different aspects. So it's not even just on like a, yeah, there's different technology things probably, right? As we get into the future, there's going to be hover, whatever. I'm making jokes, y'all. Uh, but I want to, you know, check in with you about labor and stuff too. It's something we like to talk about
Yeah.
on the program here.
What do you want to talk about work?
Well, science isn't my strongest, but I'd like to hear about your um just a little bit about like joints and body. Like we've talked a little bit privately about like back stuff with the bed that you can kind of see in the background here, viewers. Um, but working on your feet, for a long stretch, and not um, I don't know. Do you stretch during a shift?
Do I? Yes.
You do,
Yes.
like every shift.
Pretty much.
Okay, well, see, I don't think I knew that. So tell me more about like that labor that like you just worked a shift, like you're on your feet, you're moving your body, you're picking stuff up. It's work.
Yeah. What do
Tell me
you
more about it. Tell me like, you know,
So yeah, I just like I'm lifting things. Sometimes I have like a lot of repetitive motions. And I don't know, just throughout my shift, like I don't like do like in a big like intentional like stretching ceremony or anything, but it's just like throughout my shift. Like, okay, yeah, I'm doing this. Oh, I kind of need to move my body a little differently. Like, I'm just gonna take a little break, like bend over, stretch my back. Or like there's one where like I crouch and I put my hands on the table and like kind of stretch my back a little bit. That one I probably do the most. Or I'll do like little back twists. I'll like stretch my arms or my hands a little bit. Um,
mhm,
yeah, that or there's one where I go against the wall.
yeah,
That
hmm,
one I need.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's just like throughout my shift. And then sometimes I don't do it all the time, but it feels really good. But to like at the end of the shift, to like just like take a deep breath and sigh, like just, like dramatically, and then like bend over and like hang my arms down. It's like kind of fun to do sometimes.
yeah,
Yeah.
nice. It's good to stay limber, y'all. Y'all, shout out to working people.
What do you do? Do you stretch during your shifts?
Sometimes, not never, but rarely, I am conscious. The stove says 11:11 right now. Stove time. So 11:08 on the laptop that we were recording this. But and I don't know. I guess I use my hands. I don't know how intentional I am. I crack my knuckles too much, you know. But I think it's here. Like I'll stretch out here. I need to do my hands, my arms. I would when I was working out. That blip, you know. I'm gonna get back to it though, y'all. Sorry, I know this isn't. Yeah. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Oh, shout out to the audio only podcast people that don't exist. We don't convert these to podcasts. There is no republictoday.net. But well, what else you got, Jay?
So for those of you who were just listening instead of watching, Skull here was talking about getting back into the gym and then started like, I don't know, sucking in and like, I don't know, like, what is it called? Flexing out and everything, and then like leaned over like a little douchebag, and I made a face according to my description. Anyway, yeah, what else do you want to talk about?
That's what I got. I want to hear, you got anything else?
Yeah, I think I'm good.
All right.
It's a fun little trick to get back into it.
Thank you.
Next time.